Hello and happy Monday to you. Nikki here, and today I'm going to be making a Christmas card with the Mama Elephant Oh Kitty Tree stamp set and also the watercolor pencils from Nuvo. Now to start off, I'm using some Craft Perfect watercolor paper. I've got it trimmed down to 5.5 to 4 1/4. Now the best thing to get started with this is you really want to do a clean water wash all over it with a flat brush. You basically just take a bunch, you just dab your water and you just paint the thing until it's saturated, front and back, and you wait for it to dry. It doesn't take as long as you'd think. These are really porous papers, so they absorb real fast. So I've got one here that I already have I've already got prepped. It's still a little tiny bit damp, but we can certainly go ahead and use it. Now to make my background, I'm going to be using red and green pencil, but I'm not going to be coloring directly onto the paper. I want to scribble off to the side and basically make little watercolor swatches. So I'm going to start with red, and I'll use another sheet of watercolor paper. And you just color a little spot like this, just like those little watercolor booklets you used to get when you were a kid. And that really dated me, didn't it? There we go. Basically what you do there is you just pick up the color with your pencils, with your paintbrush, and you can paint onto this one right here. So I'm going to put an extra spot of green down because green is I guess it's a less saturated color than red, not specifically for these pencils, just in general. I find that it always takes a little bit more green to get the same vibrancy as red. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do is I've got a little bit of water right here in my tray. I'm going to put a little bit extra so I can swap between colors. There we go. And I kind of want to make an area right here where it's just going to be color within that area. So what I'm going to do is get some clean water and basically just draw out that area. What that does is creates a spot where the color can move around, but it won't drift outside of that spot that's wet. There we go. And I'm making sort of a rectangle shape because I'm going to stamp over it when it's dry. I just want this to be a frame for my stamped image. There we go. Just fill it in. And you want to make sure the paper's good and wet too. I mean, you need to see it on there. If you see any dry spots, your paint won't move around as well. So you kind of want a little bit of a puddle there, but not too much. And make sure your edges are a little bit jagged, I guess, just for the sake of looking really, so it doesn't look too straight. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this pencil. And you can see it turns immediately into a paint there. I'm just going to dab some color in. And you can see that it kind of moves around by itself with water. So I'm just going to smear it a little bit. And that's the beautiful thing about watercolor paint. You don't really have to do a lot with it. It kind of paints itself, so to speak. You just want to just add color, and it kind of just moves around whichever way. And I just like how it looks. There we go, nice organic flow. And then I want to do the other side, so let me rinse off here. And I may add a little bit more red in there in just a minute. I get this green going here. And you can see already that the green is a little bit more translucent than the red is. But I'm still going to go ahead and drop some in here. It just might take a little bit more to get the same vibrancy. And you can see that my my paper's starting to curl a little bit. That's the entire reason that you do the clear water wash at the beginning, is to prevent this, but sometimes it'll do it anyway. I'm not worried about it though, because it will dry. When it dries, it'll dry pretty straight. It's just because there's wet water on it right now. And because we're working with green and red paint today, you really don't want to do a whole lot of movement on your card front, which is to say, like, you don't want to tip this a whole lot, because if you do, the colors in the middle will mix and it'll get kind of muddy, because red and green are opposite colors on the color wheel. So they don't play nice together really, even though they look really good together. They just don't mix. But I am going to tip it just a little to get it going. And I'm going to add a little bit more red up top here. There. I got a bit of a puddle going on right in the center, so I don't want to move this a whole lot because it'll get muddy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move along, and we're going to dry this really quick. I'll take it off screen and just hit it with my heat tool, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the background to the card, and I did have a little bit of warping, but what I do to fix it, there's two things you can do to fix it when you're doing with watercolor paper. Actually, three things. Number one, you can use a small wooden clipboard. You can tape it down around the edges, and that'll help keep it from warping as it's drying. I didn't do it with this card particularly, because I'm planning on mass producing this one. So by the time I just set it aside and let it dry naturally, they'll all be straight, and I can just start at the beginning and work my way through, and they should all come out just fine. But if you do get some warping and you want to straighten out your panel, you can flip it over and just paint the back with clear water again, and it will curl up and then it'll flatten out. It'll help the paper relax. Or watercolor paper is usually some percentage of maybe a cotton or some sort of fabric in it. So what you can do is, if you have like a mini misty, or I'm sorry, a mink or some other type of laminator, you can run it through and it kind of irons it out flat. So, but we can go ahead and move forward with this. I want to mat this with red, so I'm going to trim the white one down till it is 4 by 5 1/4. I think I've got most of it trimmed already, because I wanted to make sure that I had my watercolor parts centered. I think I just need to cut 1/8 off the top. Yep, there we go. And then we can get ready to stamp. The one that I'm going to use from the stamp set today is the obviously the kitty cat tree, and I'm going to use Meowy Christmas to All, and probably a couple of the small meows. I've already got them set up on my mini Misty to save you guys watching me trying to center everything. And I'm going to use VersaFine and Onyx black to stamp this today, partially because it's the only black ink that I have on hand, and partially because it stamps really well. And because this is watercolor paper, it does have a texture, so you really want to press down when you're stamping, and you're probably going to have to do it twice. Although I did get a good first impression there, but I am going to go ahead and stamp it one more time. Make sure it's getting contact all the way around. Perfect. Okay. We'll just add a couple of little meows. I've got it on my little acrylic block right here. And these can be anywhere you want. I'm just going to put 3 on here. Probably one right here. There we go. And to add a little sparkle to this, I'm going to give it a shot with the Nuvo Mica Mist. And this Mica Mist is in Fresh Pear. To help control the spray, I'm just going to put it in this box for a minute. If not, everything is going to be shimmery. And I'm spraying kind of close because I want a couple of good drops. There we go. And that just takes a second to dry. And there we go. I just need to attach that to a card base. And we will be all set. And that's it. That's our card for today. All the supplies I used are linked in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for more crafty goodness, and thanks for watching.